The ACLU has long been synonymous with freedom of speech. They defended it from even the most hated groups like the Nazis, the Klan, even the Jehovah's Witnesses. It was never about what you were saying. It was about the liberal principle of your right to say it. Well, they have new guidelines now, namely that before taking a case, ACL lawyers should consider if the case might cause offense to marginalized groups, or if a potential client's values are contrary to our values. Contrary to our values? Your values are free speech and the First Amendment. Those are your values. Your whole purpose in life is not to be worried about offense to marginalized groups, because we understand that free speech is an even more important value than never being offended.
That's the kind of sharp irony Maher is known for, and he wields it with unmatched precision. He reminds viewers that the ACLU once stood as the very symbol of liberal bravery, the guardians of free speech who defended expression no matter how hateful, unsettling, or controversial it was, whether it was Nazis, the Klan, or Jehovah's Witnesses. The group's loyalty was always to principle, never to popularity. Their creed was clear: defending speech doesn't mean endorsing it, and that distinction made them iconic. But according to Maher, that unwavering stance has been replaced by a need for approval. The ACLU, he notes, now weighs whether a case might upset marginalized groups or clash with its own internal values. Maher's reaction: absolute disbelief. With his trademark sarcasm, he quips, "Your job isn't to agree with speech, it's to protect it." What was once a bold defender of liberty now feels more like a PR team frightened of public outrage. Maher paints a vivid metaphor. It's like watching a once heroic crusader trade the mask and cape for a smartphone, from fighting for freedom to chasing social media validation. His criticism goes far beyond one organization. It's a reflection on a wider cultural shift, one where conviction is replaced with caution and moral courage gives way to image management. Maher's message resonates not because it's partisan, but because it's deeply philosophical. He's lamenting the fading belief that free speech matters most when it challenges comfort zones. In calling this out, he spotlights a generation of activists and institutions that, in their pursuit of never offending anyone, have strayed from the essence of true liberalism. The result is biting, witty, and thought-provoking vintage Bill.
But what you always were, you have to change your name. It's become a trend in America these days, morphing into something completely different from what you were founded as, but still pretending you're the old you. TLC stands for the Learning Channel. They used to have shows like Learn to Read and Ready, Set, Learn. Here's some of their present and recent offerings: Cake Boss, Gypsy Sisters, Toddlers and Tiaras, Extreme Couponing, What Not to Wear, My Teen is Pregnant and So Am I. 1,000-Pound Sisters and Alaskan Women Looking for Love. And that's just the show.
Maher at his boldest. Exactly, and Maher's takedown of TLC and A&E isn't just about bad programming, it's about a moral and cultural downgrade across corporate America. He points out that TLC's transformation from the Learning Channel into a circus of chaos perfectly mirrors what's happened to so many once principled companies. What began with a mission to educate and inspire has turned into a desperate chase for applause and algorithms. Instead of challenging audiences, they now coddle them, trading intellect for indulgence, substance for spectacle. And when Maher turns his focus to A&E, his punchline lands with brutal accuracy. A&E is for people who find the Learning Channel too intellectual. It's harsh, but it's true. A&E, once home to documentaries, symphonies, and thought-provoking stories, has become a haven for reality TV clutter, hoarders, storage wars, deep-fried dynasty, and ghost hunters. In Maher's eyes, that's not evolution, that's extinction. He calls it a corporate epidemic. Companies and networks so terrified of offending anyone that they've stopped standing for anything. They play it safe, water everything down, and call it progress. But as Maher argues, it's not progress, it's pandering. What was once art and education is now clickbait and chaos. What was once about culture is now about content. And that's Maher's larger message. When everything becomes entertainment, nothing has meaning anymore. Corporate America's obsession with appeasement has stripped creativity of its courage, and the result isn't enlightenment. It's empty noise disguised as inclusivity.
A&E stands for arts. Curiously, they used to show the symphony. Now they have Deep Fried Dynasty, Hoarders, Storage Wars, Ghost Hunters, and Psychic Kids. You know, for people who find the Learning Channel too intellectual.
Instantly hit home. He pointed out how MTV barely features music anymore, and the History Channel has drifted far from its roots. It was Spartan, a sharp observation of the quiet truth people have been noticing all along.
The History Channel has no history, and MTV has no music. I'm just saying, you can buy a petting zoo and turn it into a bondage dungeon, but you gotta change.
TV barely features music anymore, and the History Channel has drifted far from its roots. It was Spartan, a sharp observation of the quiet truth people have been noticing all along. Now, since the topic is selling out, Maher turns his sights on Playboy. Yes, that Playboy, the brand that built its legacy celebrating confidence, allure, and unapologetic masculinity. For decades, it embodied boldness, daring, confident, and unmistakably iconic. But then, seemingly out of nowhere, the company made a headline-grabbing move. They featured a gay man on the cover. Yes, you heard that right. The very magazine once defined by its classic image of manhood had suddenly flipped the script.
Playboy put a gay man on the cover, which I guess we're supposed to celebrate, even though it was 2021 and there's already a dozen magazines for gay guys. 13 if you count Martha Stewart Living. Do we really need LGBT representation in Playboy? There's a transgender teenager on every show on television except reruns of Voyage to...
To be fair, there's a clear sense of desperation behind moves like that. Just look at the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. It used to be a vibrant showcase of fitness, beauty, and ambition, a glamorous celebration of confidence and health. Now, it feels more like a guilt-ridden diversity brochure. Even Bill Maher joked that the magazine seems to celebrate every body type except, ironically, the healthy ones. That's not body shaming, that's an uncomfortable truth. What was once a fun, annual tribute to beauty has turned into a lecture on body politics. The hard truth is simple. You can't preach self-love while ignoring health. Obesity is an empowerment. It's a serious concern. Pretending otherwise doesn't make society kinder, it just makes it dishonest. The swimsuit issue, which now highlights every form except the traditionally fit, feels less like progress and more like performance. Was it really such a terrible thing to release one magazine a year that showcased creative photo shoots of supermodels? Today, it reads more like something edited by the Huffington Post. And it doesn't stop there. In their fear of being labeled insensitive, even Weight Watchers rebranded to WW. That's about as logical as calling a fire extinguisher a hydration device. The entire point was lost. The body positivity movement began with admirable intentions, encouraging self-love, confidence, and freedom from unrealistic standards. That message mattered. But somewhere along the way, it was hijacked by people who started treating health as a matter of opinion. You can't just redefine unhealthy as healthy. Reality doesn't bend to feelings. It simply is what it is. Once upon a time, Weight Watchers stood as a community for people determined to improve their health. Now, it seems afraid to even say the word weight. Once upon a time, Weight Watchers was exactly what the name suggested. A community for people who wanted to lose weight and live healthier lives. Now, we've reached a point where obesity, one of the leading causes of illness and death in America, is being rebranded as body positivity. Even people who make positive health changes are criticized. Just ask Adele, who faced backlash simply for getting in shape. Meanwhile, Weight Watchers was so afraid of offending anyone that it changed its name to WW. Honestly, why not just call it weight? This obsession with rebranding extends far beyond health. It's now reshaping how we see men. Somewhere along the line, masculinity itself became a cultural target. In today's movies, commercials, and sitcoms, men are portrayed as clueless, lazy, or downright foolish. That dad can't fix a light bulb. Mom saves the day. The lesson never changes. Men are the punchline. Women are the heroes. But as Ma points out, this isn't equality. It's erasure. True masculinity didn't vanish. It was mocked, watered down, and replaced with something too timid to stand tall. Take the Boy Scouts, for example. Once, it was simple. Girl Scouts were for girls. Boy Scouts were for boys. Two groups with distinct goals and traditions. Then came the push to modernize. Not because girls lacked opportunities, they already had their own troop. But because the idea of boys having their own space suddenly seemed offensive. What started as inclusion turned into intrusion, blurring lines that once celebrated uniqueness. Is it really so wrong for some things to stay as they were meant to be? Boys once needed that space to be silly, make jokes, roughhouse, and just be boys. That's not exclusion. That's part of growing up. Ironically, the same people demanding safe spaces are erasing the few that let boys be themselves. And this pattern stretches everywhere, even to holidays like Valentine's Day. It used to be about romance, flowers, chocolates, a nice dinner, maybe a toast to love. Now it's turned into a self-love campaign. Instead of celebrating connection, we're told to be your own Valentine. Sure, that sounds empowering, but it misses the point entirely. It's gone from couples sharing affection to people buying discounted candy from CVS and calling it self-care. Mars writes it's absurd. A day once devoted to love and togetherness has been rebranded into a lonely ode to independence. What used to celebrate bonds now discourages them. And that's the thread running through it all. A cultural shift that replaces meaning with messaging. They've turned what was once a celebration of love into a campaign against loneliness. But really, why shouldn't relationships be celebrated? When did every symbol of togetherness become something that needed to be rebranded as independence? It's as if joy itself has become suspicious. These days, every tradition, every shared experience, is transformed into a lecture. And that brings Maher's message full circle. The ACLU, once a fearless defender of free speech, now acts more like a gatekeeper deciding which opinions are acceptable. The First Amendment used to protect ideas. Now it seems to protect feelings. Maher calls it what it is. This is the same organization that once defended the speech rights of the most despised groups, Nazis, the Klan, even Jehovah's Witnesses, because principle mattered more than popularity. Today, it hesitates to defend anyone who might anger social media. It's the perfect reflection of how far our culture has drifted. Institutions built on conviction now bow to fear. Companies that once stood for creativity now worship algorithms. Movements that once empowered people now define them by their grievances. Maher's insight slices straight through the noise. This isn't progress, it's regression disguised as virtue. Free speech was never meant to be comfortable. It was meant to be protected. Once upon a time, the ACLU understood that. They knew that liberty mattered most when the message was unpopular. But now, their focus has shifted to whether a case might offend or clash with internal values. The irony is painful. The organization that once stood for universal freedom now sounds more concerned with curating acceptable opinions. Maher argues that this obsession with never offending anyone doesn't strengthen society and weakens it. It trades courage for caution and integrity for applause. Because true progress isn't about tearing down traditions or silencing dissent. It's about preserving the principles that allow debate to exist in the first place. Free expression, after all, is not selective. The moment we decide who gets to speak, freedom stops existing altogether, whether you agree with Maher or not. His willingness to confront uncomfortable truths openly, bluntly, and live on air is rare. Maybe it's time others did the same. So, what do you think? Are we witnessing a culture finding its balance again, or have we gone too far into performative outrage? Share your thoughts below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This is what real dialogue looks like, reviving honest conversation in a world drowning in double standards. Remember, defending free speech means defending all speech, even the kind that makes us uneasy, because once we start choosing who gets to speak, we've already lost the freedom to do so at all.